All right, boys, we are back again with another video. We are going to be talking about, sorry, my mind is just exploding right now. I have been watching video after video, getting all of the information and research that I possibly could from all different sources. I've been watching videos all morning. Even last night I was watching videos. Just trying to get an idea about how the changes around the map are going to impact our progression strategies. So I have found a lot of things. I did a bunch of screen grabs from some videos, specifically from a French YouTuber. Shout out to my man right here. Hold on, I'm bringing this up right here. My boy, I don't know if it's NO2 or No2, whatever it may be. This guy was kind enough to let me pull some screen grabs from his video here. Right here. Let me pull some screen grabs from his video just to get some information about the map itself. We're going to be talking about that. So listen, shout out to my man here. Please go. I'll link him. I'll link his channel and whatnot. This video in the description. He's a French content creator here, so go give him some love. Merci encore, chef. C'est trop gentil. So, thank you very much. So we are going to get into this, talking about some of the changes here, specifically in how we're going to go about progression in Tier 1. And I will say this. The changes are actually pretty huge. I honestly did not expect them to be how they are. So first things first, I would say arguably the biggest change in all of, other than like the map changes in general and how that's going to work, but the biggest change in the entirety of this in the new zone here. I'm just going to use my super amazing method to enhance this image. All right, here we go. So the biggest changes are going to be in the fact that we have dealers, markets in each of the zones, or at least in Farbane, Dunley, and Silverlight. All have they all have traders. I guess trading hubs, I guess is what you would say. So let me just show you what I mean, and you'll understand immediately what I mean by the fact that they are going to be making a lot of huge changes. So just take a look at this image real quick. All right. You see what I'm seeing in this image right here? These are recipe books that you can buy for copper coins. All right. So before, anyone who knows how this used to work, the way that you got out of Tier 1 as fast as you could was you had to kill Clive to get him to drop his guaranteed recipe book for any kind of merciless copper weapon. Or you can get lucky, based on what drops around the map. But with this change, there's two dealers, shady dealers, in Farbane. So one's right here, I believe, and then one is over here next to Keeley. So yeah, one's next to Grayson, one next to Keeley over here. And these guys, they still all could different kinds of things, but I would say this is probably one of the most important things. Let me see if I can find the other image here. 1 second here. Well, okay. We'll just leave it at this. The other things that they sell, they have like a general goods store. You can buy like lumberjack axes and miner's maces from, which is obviously huge in terms of like guaranteed early game stuff. Those are like 18 copper coins a piece. And you may be asking, like, how do I get copper coins? Now, the way I found, at least like from watching videos, like the easiest way to get coins was from lootables, specifically like containers and chests. And I was watching some videos of some people, and they were getting anywhere from I think it was 1 to 6 copper coins in pretty much almost every chest that they opened. So that's a huge deal. So to me, what that means is this is now one of the most important things in Tier 1. And the reason why, how do I put this? So there's two ways. Let's look at this. Let's look at this from like a progression perspective. So like there's two ways to get out. What's the goal of Tier 1, right? It's to get out of Tier 1, get into Tier 2, and get an iron weapon. So, I mean, it's like, duh, obviously. Okay, so if we break that down, the fundamentals of doing that, like how do we do that? In the current version of the game, we have a pretty established method of doing that. In this version of the game, things change actually kind of substantially. There's actually, I would say, two methods that you can go about doing this. So the first one would revolve around rushing containers to get as many coins as you possibly could to buy a recipe like this, and then craft your merciless copper weapon. And then after downing, Bear and Quincy, then you can move on to Tier 2. I have a map of Tier 2 currently. Here we go. You can move on to Tier 2 and start farming iron. Now, there are 2 locations now of iron where you can farm iron instead of just the one. So you have Iron Mine, which is still the same, it seems. But then there's also this little location here. It's called the Iron Cave, I believe. And there's these 2 entrances on the side that you have to either use bear form to smash open, or apparently you can use the wolf to jump past the barricades, because wolf has a new ability. I don't have footage of this. Feel free to go looking, to find that. You can definitely find that pretty easily. I would check out something like So Bad Strange. The guy's a legend. Definitely has amazing content for Gloomrot right now to give you a really general understanding of like all of a ton of the additions in the game right now. So he'll definitely be able to help you understand what's going on there. But that's where I found this. You can jump through these little barriers with the wolf form, get in here and watch out for the enemies, smack some iron, get some iron that way. The other way, which has always been in the game, this has always been a thing, but I would say it wasn't as big a deal before. The other way was Brighthaven farming. So back in the day, like in the current version of the game, something that you've always been able to do is if you're comfortable or you're at a level where you feel like you can survive and have a fast enough horse, you could ride into, do this little death run here, ride into Brighthaven. Generally, you would come this way, so you would unlock the waygate, and you would run through this wall and just run on your horse all the way back to about here, and then jump off and just break all the breakables in this area, because this spot here can drop fully crafted and refined iron ingots. I think I've mentioned this before in other videos. This has been the case since like the game launched a year ago, and there's always been something you can do. But the one thing that was kind of holding you back in terms of like, okay, yeah, it's cool to be able to do this because it does save some time, but at the end of the day, you're still going to have to come down and kill Clive because he gives you the sulfur recipe. Well, apparently in Gloomrot, the sulfur recipe is actually unlocked by default. So, the reason that's so important is in order to make a smithy, you have to have iron, 32 iron bars, and I believe it's like 16 sulfur or something along those lines. You have to have that kind of sulfur. So, you can farm sulfur with a copper weapon. So, of course, we're going to make a copper weapon as soon as possible. But you can farm sulfur with a copper weapon. And this whole area actually drops raw sulfur as well. So it drops iron, completed iron ingots, and raw sulfur just in the docks here. So if you go around here and you just sneak past patrols, which is kind of difficult, but I mean, once you learn it, it's not that big a deal. If you do that and spend some time here, especially if we're on like a 2x loot server, but even an official server is still crazy. You come back with like enough sulfur for a smithy. I'm sorry, enough iron and sulfur for a smithy and for an iron weapon. Okay, you can just do that at the beginning of the game. Because, like, if you know how to sneak through here, you won't die to any of the enemies. Like, it's really not hard to avoid them. So imagine you come here at level, I don't know, you make some, like, reinforced bone plate and, like, a blood rose ring or something. You're level 20. Something along those, around there. Maybe you make a copper weapon, too. Who knows? Honestly, you wouldn't even really need to now that I'm thinking about it, because this place also drops copper ingots. Like, a ton of them. So you could also technically do that here as well if you want to do, but come here, farm every single thing you possibly can, get enough iron ingots and enough sulfur to return back to your base and just smelt the sulfur, and then as long as you've killed Quincy somehow, you'll just immediately have a smithy and then immediately have an iron weapon, like instantly. It's almost, I'm almost curious if you could like get to level 20 and just totally ignore everything here and then like put a base somewhere around Quincy. Here's the Farbane, here's the current, changed map here. We're going to go over this more in depth in another video, probably, like what I noticed about all this map changes and stuff. There's huge changes. But, build a base around here, something around Quincy, and just like check it periodically. But in the meantime, like have another player. Right? Let's say you're on it with a duo. You have your duo check this all the time while he's farming stuff in here. And once it's open, you're like, oh, cool, let me go leech that. I'm already ready to... So, like, the second you kill Quincy and leech him or steal him without even having to deal with a bear, you just make a smithy and make an iron weapon immediately. And you're like, cool, okay, well, now I'm ready to just immediately go into Tier 2 and just farm every boss in Tier 2. Almost. Anyway. So that's one method. But there's obviously huge risks to that, specifically because if anyone else has this idea and they catch you out here and they maybe are a higher level than you, or you get unlucky with a patrol path or something and you have to like run away, maybe you took a little bit of damage and they catch you, or maybe they, whatever it may be, maybe they're just better than you at PvP. There's a lot that can go wrong here. And if it does, like this is a very fine line you're treading in here. And if it goes wrong, you'll basically just waste all the time you spent farming this. And then also give that time to whoever killed you and find your body. So that's obviously really high risk. If that sounds like more than you're willing to risk, which I don't blame you, the next best thing would 100% be to come to a shady dealer, farm up the coins as fast as you possibly can, come to a shady dealer, pick your weapon of choice, and then kill Bear, kill Quincy, and then immediately head up into Dunley and start farming iron. So, those would be the two things you can do. What makes this so crazy is, what makes this really crazy to me is your bossing fundamentals, like how good you are at bossing, throughout the whole game, but especially in Tier 1 and Tier 2, but Tier 1 specifically for now, those bossing fundamentals are going to serve you even more now. Like if you're comfortable, if you really understand how to kill Quincy and Bear easily, like if you know how to beat them without getting hit or like, pretty substantially, you can actually kill them way earlier now. I mean, obviously you could always kill them very early if you were really good, but now I would say it's probably worth it to take a risk even more because there's a new mechanic in the game where once you get a boss, I believe this is what's going on, just from what I watched. If you get a boss to half HP, it shoots out a bunch of these little blood healing orbs that just sit on the ground. And they are like, you interact with them to instantly heal yourself. And it will overheal you past your, your lost maximum HP, your gray HP. So like, let's say you were fighting Quincy or something and he took you down to half HP and now you can't heal up to max, right? That's kind of scary. You're like, oh man, I could die in like 2 hits now. Well, if you get him to half, he'll shoot out a bunch of orbs, and if you pick all those orbs up, it'll probably, if you're like around half HP, it looks to me from what I saw, it'll heal you to like full HP, not just the max of your gray, but like it'll increase the gray back up to what it was at max. So if you started the fight with 200 max HP, you pick up all those orbs, you'll be at 200 max HP again with full HP. So what that means is if you're comfortable enough to like get the boss to half, just do the fight because you're going to get to half and then you're going to heal all the way up to full. And now you're full HP, starting the boss fight, essentially starting the boss fight at half HP with the boss at half HP. So that is wild to me. Like I'm very confident. You've probably seen some of my videos. I'm very confident in things like Tristan, where he's scary at low level because, if you make a couple mistakes, I mean, all it takes is like 3 hits and you'll die. But I'm pretty confident with that, where it's like, it's kind of a 50-50 shot right now for me if I'm going to get hit 3 times. Sometimes I beat him without even getting hit at all. It just kind of depends on what abilities I have and how smart I'm playing. But with that mechanic, it's almost like, who cares? I got him to half HP, I got hit once or twice. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to get every healing orb and immediately be up close to full HP again. So now I'm going to be able to beat him easy because I'm good to go. So as long as I don't make a catastrophic mistake constantly, I should be able to down Tristan significantly earlier, which that is wild. I'm also pretty sure a lot of the levels of the bosses also were adjusted. So I know Lydia, who is normally, I think, level 6. She's level 30 now, and I think Tristan, who's 46, I think he's like 41 now. Maybe he's 46 still. I could be wrong. Anyway, so moral of this story is, let's talk about real quick the vendors. So let me show you some of the images I have from that. So you have these little bags, right? You may have seen some images of these bags, coin purses, etc. These allow you to carry huge amounts of stuff just like out of your basic inventory in these little bags here, and you can loot them off of other players, etc. But they will hold your stuff, specifically coins. This is going to be very useful to hold those things and hold a bunch of silver coins, etc. Let's look at, we talked about the Shady Dealer, how it had these mats. Not only does it have these recipes, it also has floors, by the way, like floor patterns. So that is wild. Then there's also going to be merchants in Dunley. So I believe this is the area. It's called like the Dunley Farmers Market or something right here. This has merchants. And those merchants, let's see here. So here are books. Look at this. No more farming the General Soul Reaper if you don't want to. You can now farm up the silver to just buy the recipe that you want. Just buy the recipe, finally! You can buy the recipe you want. And the same thing goes, I believe you can buy floors here too. Tailoring floors are going to be in here. Forge floors are in tier 1. Amazing. Here's an image of the money that we know of right now. So this is like bronze coins here. This is silver, and this is, I think it's called Gold Sun coins. So these are obviously really, really valuable. And just like in tier 1 and tier 2, there are traders in tier 3. Now, if you remember if you know all the loot houses here, with the containers and whatnot, you have these two here, 1, 2. Then we usually go across this bridge down here. There's 1 and 2 here. Then there was that I can't remember his name, but the trader that was right here in Silverlight. He is no longer there. And this place is called the Trade District now. And there's a trader in here. You have to have human form to access this, so keep that in mind. And the one in Dunley. You can actually access the one in Farbane just as a vampire. You don't have to have human form for it. That is very important information. Anyway, so trader in here, and then 2 traders in here. And let me just show you real quick. So here's the city goods right here. You can buy pristine leather, spectral dust, silk, fish, obviously. So that is huge. This is huge. Then you have, let's see what else we have here. Oh, that's the same one. Then we have, let's see here. I should have books. Here we go. Boom. So, yeah, we can buy these now with these coins. So this is what I'm saying. The coin system is probably going to be a huge deal in this game early on. It's going to be important at all times. Obviously, as you go around, you're probably going to get more and more coins. But I think the faster that you can get the coins, the better. It's going to be very crazy because the thing that keeps us out of progressing from zone to zone, the primary thing in the current state of the game is weapons. Is not having the weapon you need to farm the thing in the next tier. So if you can immediately get a merciless copper weapon by buying it from a vendor, and then you can just go up here and start farming iron right away. Even if you haven't unlocked Quincy yet and you're playing a duo or a squad or something, just sending one guy with a merciless copper weapon up to the mine extremely early to just smack some iron nodes before anyone even gets there, and then just bringing him back to base and just stuffing him in a furnace waiting to kill Quincy, so that the moment Quincy's down, all of a sudden you're farming iron. That's a thing you can do now, which is crazy. Before it was hey, either get super lucky or you're going to have to kill Clive, which takes you a while to build up the power to do that. But it seems like 40 coins, copper coins, is not hard to come by at all. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so this is super interesting so far. A lot of stuff. Here's a image of the map so far above Farbane right now. We're going to be going over all of this a lot more in terms of figuring out base locations. Something super important that I learned today by watching So Bad Strange was that cave locations have moved. So every single cave exit is now in Farbane. Every single exit is now in Farbane. So you can't see them here, but I'll show you. Look, this one here is the cave exit, I believe, from Gloomrot. This one's the one from Dunley. It's still there, same place. There's one right here. This one is from Cursed Forest. And then there's one over here, Bear, which is the one from Silverlight, which we're used to. So this one from Silverlight goes down here next to Bear. This one in Gloomrot goes right here. And this one in Cursed Forest goes down next to Clive. So what that means, obviously this is a preview, talking about map or base locations and whatnot. That means that this location that I used to think, this was like insane, especially when that cave was still there. It's still going to be really good because it's so central to like a lot of stuff. I mean, it's central in general. There's still going to be a great location, close to Gloomrot, close to these two. You're going to be close to. You're going to be farming in these zones from what I've seen. You're going to be farming in Gloomrot and in Silverlight for hours and hours and hours and hours. So this is still a great spot, but unfortunately it doesn't have the cave exit that is right here. So we don't have the cave fast transport from this, but other than that, it's still a good spot. I would say though that just a little preview for the next map video, base Theorycraft video, is somewhere in Farbane is probably going to be. This might be the best place to build your base, like a main base, which is very interesting to me because there's so many base locations and so many spots that are good and defensible here that it makes me wonder, like, okay, like it really makes me, I'm going to be looking at this map for hours and hours and hours. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll have another video for the maps after this. But I hope you enjoyed that. This is just basic tier 1 progression. The goal should be to get you guys out of tier 1 as fast as possible so you can get a head start in tier 2 before all the other scrubs and get your iron going. Get yourself on your way to tier 3 to race to those shards. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Oh, and if you have any other information that I may have missed, because obviously I don't have access to the beta and stuff, please post it down below. I would love to read it. So, thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.